Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. We're on our fourth review. At least I think it's our fourth review. Yeah, it is our fourth review. For Halloween month, where I review comic books that I feel like would be good to read for the October month, leading up to Halloween. Today we're reviewing Judge Dredd versus Death. It collects stories from what's it called, 2000 AD, which was like, I think it was like a magazine, kind of like Shonen Jump, where they had like different issues. It would like collect an issue from a series and like publish it out. So I don't really know the other 2000 AD characters. I think Metal Harant, which was the inspiration for heavy metal, was one of them, but I could be totally wrong on that. If you went to Rorschach Reviews channel, he can probably fill you in on that stuff, or just Google it. But yeah, so today we're reviewing this. It's written by John Wagner. Art by Brian Bolland. I will say some of the issues have different writers, but they're all drawn by like Brian Bolland. Like let's look here. Like the Judge Death Lives arc in here, which is written by TB Grover, and some of the other stories. I should say this, I forgot to mention this, half the stories in here, and this is a very slim trade paperback. I paid like 18 bucks for this back today. It's probably more if you can pick it up now. Comic books are way... I went to the comic book store, not comic book store, I went to the Chapters to get some books. I got 5 graphic novels, all very slim, and if you look at the back, they only come with 4 issues, right? I bought 5 with 1 book, and it was 140 bucks. And minus the book, it was like 120 for the graphic novels. It's insane how much they're fucking charging you. And it's not like what they would have charged like a few years ago for a graphic novel that would have 6 issues in it. They're charging you that for 4. That is fucking insane to me. Jesus Christ, which is why I'm gonna rant about that later. But yeah, so it's like it collects random issues. Half the issues are the Judge Dredd versus Death and his friends, the Dark Judges, which come from a dimension where it's illegal to be alive. So, and if you're found guilty, the sentence is death. And the different judges have different powers. Judge Death, he can kill you by phasing his hands through you, and it just kills you instantly. Judge Mortis, when he grabs you, Judge Mortis is the one with the bull's head or steer's head, some kind of like animal skeleton head. He kills you by making you decay like super fast. So like he rots you to death. There's Judge, I think his name was Fire, which is just a flaming skeleton. And he just shoots fire at you, and he can light you in fire. And then there's the one that has the coolest design, in my opinion, besides from Judge Death, Judge Fear, which he opens up his mask, his helmet, and I guess you see something horrifying, and you die of terror. So, So obviously, when you have a character with a power like that, obviously they're gonna show a scene where he does that in Judge Dredd. And what happens? Judge Dredd, Judge Dredd just, it doesn't affect him at all, and he just rams his fist through through Judge Fear's skull. So the story for the Judge Dredd versus Death stories is just that at first it's Judge Death shows up by himself, terrorizes Mega City 1. If people don't know the backstory for Mega City 1 and Judge Dredd series, it takes place in the future, where it's kind of like the future in Blade Runner, or what's it called, Do You Dream of Electric Sheep, where there was a nuclear war, everything was irradiated. So like they've established these mega cities that have I think they have protected domes where people live, but it's so overcrowded that there's like 99% unemployment, which is retarded, and you wouldn't be able to a city that's like a city wouldn't be self-sufficient at like 30 or 40% unemployment. So the fact that you have a city that's 99% unemployment, but they do say there's a lot of robot labor in this in these books, so that could be why there's so much unemployment. But whatever. Basically, there's a lot of crime. So to make up for how the future authorities handle all the crime is they have the cops of the future are called judges. They can be judge, jury, and executioner, except for when the stories need there to be due process, because there's plenty of stories where there's like, oh, they know the guy's done it, but they can't arrest him because they don't have evidence. So like Judge Dredd will have to do something clever to trick the guy or investigate him to find the evidence he needs so he can arrest him. Yeah, the series has this dark humor, kind of like this sarcastic, irony, like to it. It's obviously like the Judge Dredd series is obviously supposed to be like, beware of fascism, beware of nationalism. It's like it's an anti-fascist, anti-nationalist book, but at the same time making nationalism look cool at the same time. So it's like, what the fuck? Yeah, so it's like, yeah, so the first Dredd vs. Death series, it's like him and Anderson fighting. Anderson is again, they kind of rip off Starship Troopers, where they have psychics in this world. So like so it's like him and like Judge Anderson fight Dredd, and then something happens to her. I'm not gonna spoil it. And the second time around, the Judge Death's friends show up to free Judge Death, and then like you have Judge Dredd having to take on all four of them, and then there's like this stupid like Deus Ex Machina with Judge Anderson where she's able to defeat all four of them. That's a nitpick for me. Also, the fact that if you read this, the art is all in black and white. So that is another nitpick for me, because like one of the things why people say, Westerners say Western comics is better than manga, is because, Western comics is actually printed in color. Well, this isn't cheap. Yeah, so I would say it's good, but I kind of don't like the Deus Ex Machina they pull at the end. So what's the second half? of the book. It's random stories. One is the Olympics. They have the Olympics on the moon. Like, there's a bunch of stories of Judge Dredd on the moon. So like you get to see the Olympics, a futuristic version of the Olympics, where it's like the lunar city, which I'm guessing is like the American, which is supposed to represent the American, versus the Soviet teams, which leads to a war. So after that, you have a war games, where it's kind of like Robot Jox. Have you ever seen that movie? Where it's like four, like two squads faces off each other. Once each squad representing like a country. So in this story, it's like the Soviet cities versus the lunar cities, and Judge Dredd is on the lunar cities side because they represent America. I thought those stories were good, and then the rest of the stories, to me, are kind of shitty. You have the face changer crimes. You have the fog, which starts off kind of creepy and cool. I thought it was gonna be like Judge Dredd versus the Ripper, Jack the Ripper, but it's not anything like that at all. It's just like some museum has all these like robots instead of like wax mannequins at this museum. They're robots. So he sends the robots out to commit crimes, but to steal shit, but they end up like killing people. So Judge Dredd, you know, obviously finds him. You have the Forever Crimes, which is kind of clever, but I don't know, it was alright. And you have the Punk's Rule, which was super short. Though I thought it was, it's super short, but I thought the ending for it was pretty cool, which I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah. So if I had to give this a review, I will say this: if you're trying to start, get into Judge Dredd, I would start with the Mega City, what's it called? The Mega Masters 1 Omnibus, which wasn't too expensive, but now it's, who knows how much it costs. But it's like a lot of books. Sorry, it's a lot of stories. Half the book is in black and white, half the rest is in color. I don't know, I really liked it. I never end up picking up the second one. Well, I will at some point. I do have 2 other graphic novels, Judge Dredd graphic novels, that I'll review, but like they don't really fit with the Halloween month, so I'll do those like after October. So if I were to give this a review, I really like Brian Bolland's art. He did like Batman the Killing Joke, which was an amazing story. But the problem is, half the stories in here aren't particularly that good. They're super, like, the issues are super short. So if they're not like, you know, like sorry, if they're not leading to the next like they are with the Judge Death stuff, they're not particularly that good and they feel really rushed. So if I were to give this review, I would say it's a 6 out of 10, unfortunately. It's in black and white, it's super short, and it's probably going to be really expensive nowadays. So unless you're a Judge Dredd fan, I don't recommend it. Alright, peace. See you in the next review.